Welcome to Delray Beach, and look at the beautiful produce we have right now. South Florida is just abrim with peppers, tomatoes, onions, and we're going to take advantage of that this afternoon and make stuffed peppers. Look at the size of this pepper. These peppers were 3 for $1 this week. 2 weeks ago they were 10 for $1. So we've been taking advantage of these beautiful peppers. And to start with our stuffed peppers, we're going to make a homemade roasted tomato sauce. And this is with 2 pints of cherry tomatoes. You could use, if you don't have cherry tomatoes, you can use canned whole tomatoes, just strain them. Use the juice in a Bloody Mary or something else you're making. This pan, what I've done is sprayed it with olive oil cooking spray, put fresh oregano and fresh rosemary in it, then put the tomatoes and garlic still in the husk, as you can see, and then put olive oil on it, salt and pepper, and baked it for about 20 minutes at 400. Now what we're going to do is take the garlic out of the husk, because we don't want the husk in there with our sauce. We're going to take the herbs off the stem, and then we're going to put all this in our blender, which already has the sofrito. And if you don't know what sofrito is, this is 2 ribs of celery. It is a carrot, half of an onion chopped and sauteed for about 10 minutes. And then we had a tomato left over from breakfast, about 2/3 of a tomato. I threw that in there too. Let it all cook for about 10 minutes and then splashed in about a 1/3 of a cup of white wine and let that deglaze. And then we put half of it in this blender to go into our sauce, and half of it is going into our mixture for our peppers. And I'm just getting the stems out of this because we want all this good roasted herbs to go into our sauce.
What kind of, are those, is that rosemary?
This is oregano. This is fresh oregano. Now if you don't have fresh herbs, just use the dry stuff. I had 2 big sprigs of rosemary and 2 big sprigs of oregano. That would probably be about a couple of tablespoons of Italian seasoning.
Is that out of the patio garden?
That's out of our patio garden, yes. Which we got a little bit of a challenge with this year because of the wind. It's been very windy, and the herbs do not like wind. So now we're going to put all this in our blender with our sofrito. We've got some chicken stock here ready to go because we may need to thin it down some. And we're trying not to have it all over the kitchen counter. Now, if you don't want to do this, just get a jar of tomato sauce from whatever your favorite one is. I get the small Rayo marinara sauce, and I always have it on hand in case I don't have tomatoes or don't want to do this, because a small jar will do peppers, and next week we would have a pizza with the second half of this beef we're going to use and the second half of that jar of tomato sauce. So you get 2 meals out of making those.
Yeah, but it's so much better to do it fresh like this.
So much better. And these little tomatoes, one thing about cherry tomatoes, even though they're really in season down here now, they're sweeter almost all year long. So you can get cherry tomatoes to go a long way. And let's be sure we put the top on this blender so we don't have it all over us. That's looking good. We're going to add just a tiny, ooh, that smells delicious, bit of chicken stock to thin that down just a little bit. Not much. And hit it one more time with the blender. Again, I don't want to be wearing it. And there you have a beautiful, somewhat chunky, thick tomato sauce made with those roasted tomatoes, the celery, carrots, onion, a little bit of that tomato we sauteed with that, and a splash of white wine. Now let's just give it a quick taste to see if it needs salt or pepper. I think it could use a little bit of salt, so we're going to put a little salt in it.
So did you put chicken stock in there and white wine?
I put the white wine in when we were sauteing the vegetables and deglaze the pan so you get all the goodness off the bottom of the pan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now in this bowl, to go the stuffing for our peppers, we have some ground beef. I had a pound of ground beef and I sauteed it with fennel seed, about a teaspoon, healthy teaspoon of fennel seed, about a quarter of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, salt and pepper to taste, and I did the whole pound. This is about half a pound because again, I saved the other half, put it in a bag in the freezer, so if we have a pizza next week if you have the leftover sauce, you could have a pizza with your ground beef that is seasoned to taste more like Italian sausage. This is some fontina cheese that I just cubed up that we had a small hunk of in the refrigerator. This is oregano, parsley, and rosemary that I chopped up from our patio garden. This is the other half of the sofrito that we made, the carrots, onions, celery with a little bit of tomato. And this is some leftover brown rice that I had frozen. If you have leftover brown rice, it freezes great, and it's great to go in a dish like this. That's the other thing about stuffed peppers is they're a wonderful thing to do with anything left in your refrigerator or anything you really want to get rid of. Our daughter-in-law makes them with chicken, rotisserie chicken or poached chicken mixed with pesto, and then just puts it in the peppers and tops it with cheese and bakes them, and they're delicious. So now we're going to stir all this great filling together. We're going to add a little bit of our sauce to get it good and wet. And again, you'll just do this until you think you've got enough in there. We're probably going to add a little bit more. We got our oven set at 400. We're going to stuff the peppers and then cover them and cook them for about 15 minutes. Okay, we stuffed our peppers and we pre-cooked the peppers without the stuffing in them at 400 for about 15 minutes, so they'll be soft and then they'll get really yummy when you're cooking them. Now we're going to top them with some of our sauce. Just be sure you stuff them really good. And if you have leftover sauce, it freezes real well, or just keep it in the fridge for another use. Again, we usually, when we have this, we'll have a pizza sometime next week and use the leftover sauce on the pizza. Or you could make a stromboli or pasta. So see, we've got a good cup and a half leftover sauce. Now we're going to cover this with aluminum foil and put it in a 400 oven for about 15 minutes. And we've already mixed together some panko breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese, salt, and a little bit of pepper with a little bit of olive oil. So we've got a topping already mixed up. But after that 15 minutes, we'll take them out, uncover them, put this topping on, and bake them another about 12 to 15 minutes until they're golden brown. So we'll see you when they're golden brown. And now we have golden brown with breadcrumbs on top. We served this with a side of zucchini. Tonight we had it with green onions, 4 green onions, a little bit of paprika, thyme, and salt and pepper. And there we have it, roasted peppers with vegetables. Enjoy.